Hey everybody, Bonehead for the Better Podcast, and this is not exactly breaking news, but I did think it was very interesting. So today is the 12th of the 12th, 2023, and at 5 PM GMT, there will be a Blood Bowl 3 Season 3 update announcement thing. Whether that means anything to you guys on Tabletop or not is entirely down to you. You know, Blood Bowl 3 is the most recent incarnation of the digital version of it, and it launched and it was trash, absolutely terrible, barely unplayable. But they've stuck at it, they've made it better, they've listened to players, and now it's hitting a solid 6 out of 10 on some game review sites, and it is actually quite a fun play, and it works most of the time. There's a limited pool of teams, I think there's maybe 13 now, but it's still Blood Bowl, and it is still really good fun. So expect to see more Blood Bowl 3 content on this channel as it gets better, especially as today there's two key things that have happened. One is that they will be releasing the new faction today. At 5 o'clock UK time, they will announce the next faction. And it's going to be an undead one, and I'll come to that in a second as to why, but it's going to be undead, could be necro. I think both of them would be awesome. It's not likely to be vampires, but if it is, I will be very excited because kind of big on house arrest at the moment. I really want to play vampires, and I'm this close to just logging onto Fumble and never doing anything constructive ever again. Anyway, first thing, new faction coming for Blood Bowl 3. The second thing is they've given us a list of star players. Now, we've seen this before with Blood Bowl 3. Where they've got star players in Blood Bowl 3 that we don't have on the tabletop. And I think the primary one of these that we've seen is old Squidface, Kiroth Krakeneye. We've seen him in Blood Bowl 3. We had a nose around and we saw him and his stats, and this is very, very cool. And then they released him. He may be released. They've shown the Forge World model off anyway, and the rules, and he's out and about. So he's now landed. There's still Asperon Thorn, a Dark Elf star player, who's kicking around in Blood Bowl 3. But they've adding, as of today, a few more star players. I don't know if it goes live today, but it's going to be announced today. And one of them is this lad here, who we've not seen for a little while. I tell you what, we'll bounce over to the other screen and have a look at what they have to say. Well, that's not working at all, is it? Okay, so when Blood Bowl 3 do their announcements, Trips normally covers this, but this one, because we're kind of seeing a star player that's returning to Blood Bowl, I thought I'd jump in and do it. And to get access to the news, you have to click on their Twitter or Facebook thing, follow the link, and go onto Steam and log on and see it. It's a subpar way of sharing information, but there's some good information in there. So Season 3 is coming, as we've said, at 5 o'clock today. They'll get the official Season 3 trailer and server opening to know which team faction it is, but we can hardly contain our excitement. Fantastic. Right, there is a new faction. We don't know what that is. There's a new TV cap, which is quite interesting. So in the Forever Leagues, the TV is going to get limited from 2,000 to 1,800. I'm a fan of that. They said, we may continue to modify the TV cap from season to season. I think what we really want is proper league rules, please, so that we can have redrafting. But I mean, one can dream. A new concede system. So this is just horrifically prevalent on digital platforms. Not really Fumble. Fumble's pretty good, but Blood Bowl 3 and Blood Bowl 2. Definitely on Blood Bowl 2. We've implemented a new concede system to prevent concede abuse, featuring varying levels of penalties. With this, we aim to encourage more games to reach completion. It is one of this time where we did something specific from the video game. We believe it's in the game's best interest. Yeah, fair enough. Actually, it's a digital version of the game. It's a lot more prevalent to just, I'm bored now, bin it off. I blame Magic the Gathering, although we've all scooped. Yeah, that's fine. The penalties will be interesting. Hopefully they're real penalties. Now, I think in the rulebook, because you don't see concedes very often, if you concede a game, some of your more advanced players tend to just kind of leave the team. That would be beautiful on a digital system, so you can't just bin off games whenever you want to. It's tough because sometimes you do have to do it because of real life things. You know, you can go to a club, you can go to a league, and sometimes you have to bin off your game. It's a tough one, but actually, it's a part of life. Reworked inducement UI, skill icons, stat streams. We don't care about that. On the tabletop side, new star players. Some very well known Blood Bowl icons are joining the rank of star players Grim Ironjaw, the angry Strength 4 multi-block Troll Slayer. He's joining the crew. Bryce Campbell and Ivan Deathshroud. Ivan is fantastic. Probably one of my favourite star players kicking around at the moment. He's just a beautiful bundle of bargain Blood Bowl. Alright, nearly. Bryce, obviously, chainsaws are good. Well, I think we can assume that as Blood Bowl 3 has 0 Sylvanian Spotlight teams, getting Undead or Necromantic is pretty likely. If they drop Tomb Kings, I'd be very impressed, and I just don't think they're ready for vampires. But, I don't know. I will take any of those teams. That will be fantastic. So that's going to be really good, and that's definitely going to get me playing some Blood Bowl 3. So watch for some videos and potentially some streams coming up, depending on when our baby turns up. Horkon Heartripper. That is the bit of news here. And one of the interesting things is multiple blocks. Multiple blocks hasn't been a skill that's worked on Blood Bowl 3. They've got that fixed, which means Horkon can arrive, as can Grim Ironjaw. Both those dudes have got multiple block. But Horkon Heartripper, let's tab to this screen, is a returning star player, at least for Blood Bowl 3. We've seen Asperon Thorn, we've seen Krakenface himself, and now we're seeing Horkon Heartripper as all star players in Blood Bowl 3. Kraken Boy is in the game for real now, with different stats from the Blood Bowl 3 game. Asperon Thorn, who's just a very multifaceted and very useful Dark Elf star. Maybe we'll see him on the tabletop, maybe we won't, I don't know. Horkon Heartripper, however, is a very cool star player, and as you can see in the graphic above me, he is from the olden times, and I'm not the oldest of times, but the kind of the second age of Blood Bowl. That's how we'll do this Lord of the Rings style. So he's not from the kind of Maya and dragons phase, but he's the second age where there was a couple of Maya and a couple of dragons. And actually we've got the 3rd edition metal model there with a beautiful goblin green base and a big old stabby sword, not stored. Now apparently this week is the week of stabbing in Blood Bowl, because we've seen Skitter Stab revealed by Games Workshop yesterday on the Warhammer community, and now we've seen our friends at Nacom drop Horkon Heartripper, at least coming to Blood Bowl 3. What would have been really cool, and just imagine this, imagine if Skitter Stab was coming to Blood Bowl 3. Just imagine how cool it would be if they were a little bit lined up there, but I guess you sell IP rights to an independent dev team and they just YOLO it. Anyway, stabby elves. So Horkon, this is the rules for him in the last edition of Blood Bowl, so the 2016 edition. Definitely in the 3rd age. I guess we're in the 4th age now. Interesting. Maybe that's late 2nd age. Maybe like Blood Bowl 2016 is the bit in the Lord of the Rings where they blow up the ring, like, you know, Bilbo to Frodo era, and then it all changed into the next season. Literally. Horkon Heartripper, Dark Elf, Assassin star player. Been kicking around. Played for a couple of teams. I went and looked at the history. Darkside Cowboys, for example. Now, he is a star assassin. In the old edition, he was 210k. We'll come back to that in a second because we've seen star player prices plummet like Games Workshop stock. But movement 7. Strength 3, Edge 4, which is now Edge 2+, Armor value 7, which is now Armor 8+. That is standard stats for an assassin. I like assassins in the same way like I like chameleon skinks. They're kind of like an interesting other thing, and also ran that can be actually quite special. Now, this guy in the old edition had dodge, leap, loner, multiple block, shadowing, and stab. Now, multiple block is the key here. That he's been added at the same time that Grim Ironjaw has been added to Blood Bowl 3. And let me tell you, multiple block and stab, what a great combination. Now, it doesn't work on the blitz, but you can run up to someone and stab them once. You can stand next. If you wake up in the morning and you look to your left and your right and you've got 2 vulnerable targets, Horkon Heartripper can just stab both as if he's kind of like Neo shooting guns in several different directions. So having multiple block and stab is a really cool combination. You've got to assume that's what's happening here. He's an assassin, so he's going to have stab, and multiple block has just been brought into the game, so he's going to have that. He used to have that in the old edition. I think we're pretty fair game for that. Shadowing is kind of standard for assassins. Loner is standard for star players. Leap is interesting. Leap is less good in this edition, but actually just the chance to 3+, 4+ maybe into a specific spot and have one cracking good stab at someone is epically assassiny, which I think is brilliant. It is a subpar play, but it is going to be a lot of fun to pull off. And dodge is just going to help keep him alive. Trips and I were talking, because Trips obviously an unapologetic dark elf lover, and he was like, I'll be wicked to leap in a cage and just stab a bunch of guys up, you know, kind of going full Geralt. It doesn't work, but you can leap and stab one guy, or you can start your activation and stab two. And this is why I think he's going to be really useful. I played in a tournament with Snotlings, and I played against a Dark Elf dude in round 2 or round 3, and he brought 2 assassins because he was like, everyone is binging Snotlings, looked me right in the eye and said that, and Hackflem and Underworld at the moment, which means there's loads of juicy targets, and you've got to put those juicy targets on the line. And if you've got a multiple block stab piece, you can open up your drive with 2 stabs. I mean, he had 2 assassins, so he still had 2 stabs. 2 stabs where nothing bad can happen. Like, I can open up, I can stab you. If you're putting goblins or Skaven or Snotlings on the line, I've got a good chance of breaking that armor and just immediately stunning the guy or something. And it's a really fair shout. So Horkon's going to be interesting. He's priced at 210 in the last edition. We've got to see that drop. I mean, 180 is probably where that'll go. I think 150, like Skitter Stab, he would be priced to move. And I actually think 150 would be wonderful. It might be game warping, but it's an elf. Oh no, my elf team has now got a movement 7 and 2+ piece with dodge. Your team already has that. There's no elf team that doesn't have a movement 7 piece with dodge. Like, if it doesn't, then you're being bad at being an elf. And Horkon's probably going to stab you. Okay, so we've seen that Horkon is going to Blood Bowl 3. We've seen what he used to be in the old edition. I would imagine his rules will be very similar in Blood Bowl 3. The real question is, when will we see him for the tabletop? And will we see Skitter Stab in Blood Bowl 3? I kind of like that there's this divide, this schism between Blood Bowl 3 being its own mini meta and the rest of Blood Bowl. I think when Blood Bowl 3 starts getting more established, which it is, when the league rules start kicking in, when we get to be able to stream some proper competitions and things, that meta will be really interesting. So we are actually nearly there, which is very exciting. Anyway, let me know what you think below. Is Horkon coming back to the tabletop? And will you be playing some Blood Bowl 3? Oh, also, what do you think the new team's going to be? I think it's Undead. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content and apparently happy snabbing again. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the channel even further, please like and subscribe. It really does help us out. Or come join us on YouTube Members or in Patreon, where you can get exclusive access to some content, some loot, early access to basically everything we do, as well as regular competitions. Or you can pick up some Bonehead Podcast loot either on our website at boneheadpodcast.com. We've got the Dungeon Bowl things, we've got tokens and stuff like that, or on our Spreadshirt site as well. Everything you do just helps us make more content and hopefully do it of better quality. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Happy blocking.